What's up, wrenchers? Today I got a video for you about ATV starters. Let's say you try to start your ATV, you turn the key, press the button, and all you hear is a click or a couple of clicks or nothing or even some grinding. So first what you want to do is check your battery voltage. Make sure you got over 12 volts. If you can confirm that, then you can move on to your starter relay. I have another video, I'll put it down in the description below, about testing a starter relay. If that tests fine, and let's say you even replaced it, and still you get one click or a couple clicks, what you want to do is pull your starter out. So once you pull your starter out, you just want to turn it. This is a brand new one, and you can hear how it turns. I think you can hear that. It doesn't turn very smooth, but it is a brand new one, and I tested it. It works fine. We gonna take it apart and we'll see how it works, and I'll tell you what to look for. Here's one that I replaced not so long ago, and that's what we can see inside. You want to make sure this part is all clean, and here, see that, all the mess? That basically shorted itself and created some mess, and then it was really rough turning in the magnet. This one obviously spins freely now because it's just on the one cover and the bearing, but once it's all assembled, it wasn't going anywhere. Starter would just click, or in that case, I think what was happening, it would just kill all the power to the ATV. So let's go ahead and take this one apart, and I'll show you what to look for. Back to the starter here, what you want to do is remove the two bolts that are holding the starter together. Shouldn't be too tight. Those are long screws, but the thread part is not too long. Usually the starters have two bolts holding them together. Sometimes you may have 3 or 4, but usually it'll be 2. The inside of the starter may look different. You may have a different kind of shaft, like this one for example, but overall they all work the same, especially the ones with the one post. So now that we have the screws loose, almost, this one has nice O-rings, keeps everything waterproof. There you go, we pull them aside. They're both the same size, so no worries if you mix them up. Before actually removing the screws, or even now, that's fine. What you want to do is make markings on them. They come with some sort of marks, but not on all. You can either punch a mark or just use a Sharpie. So what we're going to do right now is basically just put 2 lines across here, 1 line here. See how it moved on me? I'm not sure if I made this line off before, so I'm just going to make a new line right here. And we're gonna look at those marks when we put it back together. So now that you have those 2 bolts off, what you want to do is pull this front cover off. This one sometimes have washers here. Be careful not to drop them. There you go. And then there's a bearing inside, a roll bearing. So what you can do is just make sure, you want to make sure that bearing spins freely. So that will tell you that that bearing is not your issue. So then go ahead and set it aside. Now, you can either pull this off first or that off, it doesn't matter. But there's a large magnet inside and holding this stator. You can actually pull the stator off if you want to hold this together, pull that out. Might be hard because of magnets. There you go, just like that. That stays together for now. That's okay, we'll set it aside. So right here, what you want to look for is basically all this needs to be clean. On this model, it looks like they made a funny marking on this. I don't know if that was a mistake during machining process, but there's actually another one on this side. It is a little strange, I've never seen that before, but as long as they all look good, like I said, this one is a brand new working one. As long as there's no crazy scoring, you know, for example, this one missing wire, or a little wire that jumped and then shorted the whole thing. As long as it looks good, that won't be your problem. Right here, this copper apart, what you want to do is clean it up. You want to use a Scotch pad, very fine sandpaper, steel wool, anything that can get rid of this. Realistically, if it's got continuity, and to check that, you just grab your voltmeter. I have this fancy beep option, and basically what you're looking for is just make sure that it beeps all around. If it's got some, nasty black stuff, it may not work, right? So it may not actually conduct. I'm just testing this bed, for example. It still works actually. So it may work, it may not, but what you want to do is just clean it up, make sure it's nice and clean. You don't want to, take it apart, spend the time to kind of rebuild it, and then it still doesn't work on you. So again, this may or may not be an issue, but you want to make sure it's nice and clean. Use some fine sandpaper, steel wool, Scotch pad, anything that can remove the dirt off or grease, whatever it may be on it. Now here, another thing I want to mention, if this part is messed up, something like this, just replace the starter. I'm sure there's a way to fix this, but the starters, the replacements from Amazon, for example, they're pretty cheap, probably less than $100. It'll buy you definitely more years than trying to fix this and putting it back together. So if it's a major issue and it's not just dirt, replace the starter. If it's something minor, like it's flooded, full of sand, full of mud, whatever it may be, something that you can't clean it up, just do that. It'll get you back in writing. So right here, this cover now, that just snaps off. These are O-rings. Sometimes they wear out. You could use some RTV to seal it better. You could probably buy replacements, but again, it may be cheaper to just replace the starter altogether. It all depends what the damage is. Right here, these are your brushes. So what happens here, sometimes the brush may break. If you watch my video about me rebuilding or fixing a winch, basically it looks the same. This is potentially like a tiny winch when you think about it. The motor, the starter, it all works the same. So these brushes, sometimes they break, a wire may snap, a brush may be too far gone, a spring may be missing. But you want to make sure everything is together. So some of these starters, they look differently. So Justin, for example, from Georgia, his starter looked completely different. And when he took it apart, he was alarmed. He's like, well, how am I supposed to put this back together? So, it may be difficult and it may be challenging, but just take your time and you'll be able to do it. And what I mean, do what, you may be wondering. Basically, how do you put this back together? See, it doesn't fit because these brushes, they push on the copper side. So how do you put it back? Usually there's a spring in the back behind the brush, and then the spring needs to be positioned in place, and then the brush can be put on. These ones, see, the brush just slides out, the spring stays on. So on his, what he would have done, or what he did do, he placed the spring in first, then the brush, and then held it in place, probably opened them up, held them in place using a screwdriver, maybe pliers, and then eventually popped this back in. So today I'll show you how to put this back in here with this type of starter. If you have a different starter, if you have issues, go ahead and email us at valleywrenching@gmail.com. I'll put the email in the description. Message us here, write in our comments. We'll get you back and running for sure. Just let us know. So right here, what you want to do is you want to try and put it back in, and obviously it's not going because the brushes are extended. So in this particular starter, what you do, you grab wood screws. You'll need 4 of them, 4 wood screws. And then what you want to do, you got this hole right here. You want to put this into the hole and then turn it by hand and lock it in place. You see that? It's holding the spring back. allowing the brush to move back freely. It's just being held by the wire. I can bend the wire back and there you go. That opened up for me. You take the next one. I like to work across from each other. Put it in and turn it just by hand. I don't have any tools, just by hand. Holds the spring back. Then you want to push the wire back. Oh, it just bounced back. That's okay. Put it in and turn it. By turning, you're actually pushing the spring back and it locks it in place. So 2 more screws in the hole, bend it back and then turn. There you go, push it back, you're good to go. So the last one. Last one, in the hole, push it back, turn it to lock it in place. Good to go. There you go. So they're all wide open. They're ready to accept the stator. Slide this in, and then it still may not fit. So now, what you want to do is grab a tiny pick or a small screwdriver, and you want to see where it doesn't want to fit, and you will see that it's actually catching on one of the brushes. Make sure the screws are out, because that may be catching on it as well. Fingers are a little greasy, just a second. So, push it back, turn, back, turn. Perfect, let's try this again. Be patient. Some of these things, they're a pain in the butt, but you just gotta be patient and it'll work out eventually. So now, just want to make sure all those brushes are away. You'll be able to put it in place. There you go. So now before turning it, remove your screws. May need a little screwdriver for these. My fingers are really greasy. There you go. So some are coming off, but some are kind of jammed, so I'm just using the right Robinson bit screwdriver to remove them. There you go, this one is a little jammed. Perfect. So now we are back in. So I made a mistake on purpose, and the mistake is you want to make sure this magnet part is on before doing this part. So what happens is if you don't have this on, and I'll put it on right now, it may pull the stator out, because in putting it down, it'll get energized and it'll pull it out. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Please make sure when you're putting this on, you're putting this cover on, or else you may have to redo this whole thing over again. So let's have a look. Let's see if this will stay on or if it will pop. What I'm looking for right now is my markings. That's a single mark. The double mark was closer to each other. So my single mark is right here. Double is up there. So then we'll go ahead and put this on. See what I mean? But I'm pushing down on it and it may stay. Perfect. Pinch my fingers a little bit, but it wasn't terrible, but it stayed in place, so that's good. This has a little notch there, so that'll also be your marking right there. That's where that goes. Make sure the O-ring is nice and tight. It just snapped out of place, so we're gonna do this again. And I don't mind, because hey, this is a good practice. So again, we're gonna put our screws into the hole and then away, into the hole, away, into the hole and away, and then one more, Now we got this inside, it's not going anywhere, and we want to push it in. Push these out of the way now, so then you're not fighting them. Line up your marks, and in you go. This may happen where you don't have room to put it in, so go ahead, just push the starter in. Perfect. Put some pressure on it. Move the brushes. We'll have to move the brushes away. There you go. Apply some pressure. Make sure the brushes are away. I know you may not see now, but it's hard to do this and show you guys. But you've seen me do it without the cover, so it's the same setup. I'm gonna try this again. Move the brushes away. Place this inside. Push the stator in. And then you're stuck on the brushes just a little bit. Apply pressure with your thumb, pushing down. Try to move the brushes away as you're applying pressure, because eventually you want to fit in. There you go. So, it's kind of using my belly, pushing on the stator, but that's in. Now what you want to do is loosen your screws while holding it down, constantly applying pressure downwards. Remove your screws. And eventually the whole thing drops because the cover, the center piece just wants to snap on it. So watch your fingers because it is pinching right now. There you go. Align your cover. It's not aligned, just a second. There you go. Yeah, you can hear that. That's basically the magnets and the brushes, so that's okay as long as it's turning. Perfect. We know it's clean. We cleaned everything. This is okay. This bearing and the two bolts will line everything up. So now once that's in, go ahead and put this on. Make sure you don't forget your washers. Align the markings and snap it in place. There you go, just like that. Now what's left, again you can double check. There you go. So it's not as loud, but there's still noise, and like I said, before we even opened this, it was already doing that noise. But it's tested and it works fine. Once it's all cleaned up, what you want to do is put the bolts back in and make sure they're aligned. So right now, this one is longer than this one because that one is not aligned in here to go in. So go ahead and start the one. And once that's started, you may have to twist this to align this second bolt to go in. See how it drops? So it's not matched right now. You can go back to our markings, and they are a little off right here. That one is good. And this one should be around here, I guess. It's not quite. Nope, missed it again. Go back to the markings. markings, because my hands are greasy, got erased a bit. So it should be around there somewhere. Yeah, I think I got it. There you go. So now I can't pull it out. That's perfect. Now what you want to do is go ahead and tighten these. These don't have to be too tight. If you go too tight, you won't be able to turn it. So just enough snug for the O-rings and all the seals to compress. So really just snug, not too tight. That one is good. This one is good. Still able to turn it, still making the same noise. Now before you go ahead and install it, you might as well bench press it. You don't want to install it and then it still doesn't work, and so on. So bench press it, it should work. If it doesn't work, you may just have to replace it. This is basically a quick, clean, possibly fix to get you going if the starter is dirty or faulty or something went wrong inside that you can fix. If it's something that you cannot fix, something like this, go ahead and buy a new starter. It's not too expensive. So now what you want to do is grab booster cables. Put the positive on the positive, negative on the negative on the battery side. And what you want to do here is grab the positive on this side, negative. It may spark, but what you want to do is touch anywhere on the body and it should spin. There you go, so that starter is good. Disconnect your battery safely and you're good to go. Might be hot to the touch, it's not too bad. Just be careful. So this one is good to go. If this came out of the ATV, you know, it's fixed, it's cleaned, put it back in the machine and you're good to go. Guys, thanks so much. We got 44 subscribers today. Next giveaway will be at 60. The 40 subscribers giveaway will be conducting soon. I don't remember the date, but it's July. I believe July 2nd. I'll check. And I'll put all the dates and everything in the description below. If you like this video, if you want me to make any other type of videos, please let me know. Send us an email or write us a comment. I do go on different types of forums and I check them often. I try to help everybody out as much as I can. Yeah, if you can like, subscribe, comment below. Let's get connected. You know, if you have any issues, if you want me to make a certain video to show you how to do something, let me know anytime. I'll be more than happy to help you out. Thanks guys, thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and have a great day.